Well, good evening and welcome on behalf of the Harbert College of Business at Auburn University. Thank you for joining us for tonight's session, Achieve Your Possible, the Auburn Executive MBA program. My name is Katie McKay and I serve as Director of Student Recruitment for Graduate Business Programs. Joining me in moderating this session is Greg Bass, Communications Specialist. Greg will be facilitating the question and answer portion of our webinar. You are invited to submit your questions throughout this presentation. At the bottom of your screen, you will see the Q&A function. We ask that you please use the Q&A option rather than chat or hand raise so that we can streamline the questions coming in as well as the responses. If we do not have time to get to your question during this live broadcast, we will be sure to follow up with you via email after the session has concluded. And at this time, it is my pleasure to introduce you to our panelists. First, we have Kim Curtin, Executive Director of Graduate Executive Programs here in the Harbert College of Business. As well, we have Joe Colazzo, Assistant Director for Graduate Executive Programs. And finally joining us is Liza Welcham-Morrow, an Executive MBA alumna from the class of 2019 and Director of Digital and Acquisition Marketing from BB&T, soon to be Truist. And at this time, I'm going to turn the session over to Kim Curtin, who will get us started.
Thank you, Katie. And I'd like to add my welcome to all who are joining us tonight for this informational webinar about Auburn University's Executive MBA program. Tonight, we're going to explore the features of an Executive MBA. We're going to share some of the unique features of Auburn's program and how those features add value. We're going to hear from an alumnus about her experience in the program, and then we'll leave some time for some Q&A. So, recognized worldwide, a Master of Business Administration degree typically covers business basics, accounting, finance, stats, marketing, management. However, an Executive MBA is something different. While still covering the basics of business, it's tailored specifically to those who have managerial experience and occupy more senior roles in their organizations. Executive students bring significant knowledge to the classroom. And the careful leverage of this knowledge not only grounds theory to application, but binds students into a cohort and builds a network that'll be of benefit long after graduation. So we launched Auburn MBA program in the fall of 1998, and we've graduated 21 cohort classes of executives. 20 years ago, we pioneered the hybrid model, where intensive residencies are combined with distance courses to provide students with really the best of both worlds, the opportunity to develop close relationships and learn from faculty and their peers, and the ability to balance a busy work schedule and family with the demands of a rigorous education. In addition to the Executive MBA, we also offer a Physician's Executive MBA and a Master's of Real Estate Executive program. So we have a breadth and depth of experience providing high quality education to an audience with high expectations. One unique feature that we bring to the executive space is our partnership with Auburn's Media Production Group. They're a full service design and production studio and have been our partner since the beginning. They've helped us lead not only in the technology that we've used throughout the years, starting with videotape to CDs to DVDs to iPods and iPads and now video streaming, but also in the design of our courses, understanding the ways that students learn, and then designing our courses to optimize that. Additionally, our program is accredited by AACSB, the Association to Advance Collegiate Schools of Business. This organization is the global accrediting body for business schools, and this accreditation is something that fewer than 5% of the world's 13,000 business schools obtain. We launch our Executive MBA in the fall of each year, and in a very deliberate effort to deepen the educational experience for our students, our goal is to assemble 40 to 50 executives with a broad diversity of work experience in each cohort. Our program's 5 semesters long, 21 months, and during that time, you'll have 5 residency weeks on campus, 1 international experience, all bridged with distance learning. Our students come from around the country, some from around the world, and represent every industry and discipline. Our most recent cohort represented 15 different states. In lieu of an admissions test, we conduct personal interviews with each applicant. We see the admissions process as assembling a team. Of course, you need a 4-year undergraduate degree, and consideration will be given to your GPA, but more consideration will be given to your experience and what you've accomplished. And while our minimum work experience is 8 years, the average in our latest cohort was 17. In that first year, all executive students take the same core courses and will come to campus twice. And when you come to campus for the first residency, we'll have an intensive orientation and join in team building exercises, all designed to jumpstart the cohort bonding. However, in this time of limited travel and social distancing, we've also adapted our program to be able to deliver and preserve the key elements of that residency experience while at a distance. And while we fully intend to host all of our students for their campus residencies in this coming year, we are prepared to deliver that alternative model if necessary. We typically travel internationally in the first spring of the program. This is a 10-day working trip embedded into the global business course. Our executive students meet with their counterparts as well as CEOs and frontline workers. We tour factories, interact with policymakers, and get a good overall view of the business, economic, and political climate of the countries we visit. We choose our global locations based on current world conditions, where there's stories to be shared and lessons to be learned. Over the past 20 years, we've visited over 30 different countries. These residency periods are bridged with distance learning courses created specifically for the executive students. The distance courses are available through the university learning management system called Canvas. Modules for all distance courses are available at the beginning of each term, so you have more flexibility to move through the course at your own schedule. Here's a short clip from a core distance course with Dr. Brian Gibson.
To help you retain important supply chain management highlights, let me provide a segment recap. First, recall that supply chain is an integrated collection of organizations, people, activities, information, and resources. The goal is to manage these supply chains, both global and domestic, so that your company gets its product to the marketplace in an efficient and effective manner.
As students move into the second year of the program, we offer the opportunity to tailor your education with the addition of electives. We add new electives regularly and now offer courses in leadership, operations, healthcare, and cybersecurity management. If you choose an executive MBA, we understand that you come to the program with a desire to learn, to expand your skill set and network, and to advance your career. And we want you to focus single-mindedly on that goal. We'll help you with your application, we'll register you for classes, we'll order and provide all of your required course materials, we'll make lodging arrangements, and we'll even make sure you have your cap and gown for graduation. The inclusive tuition includes all books and case materials, lodging for both domestic and international residencies, most meals, and all incidental Auburn fees. The tuition is $16.10 a credit hour. The degree requires 39 hours for a total of $62,790. We've held that tuition constant for the last 3 years, and it will not change while you're in the program. And our graduates have consistently reported at least a 20% increase in salary at graduation. And with that, let me pass this narrative to Dr. Joe Collazo. After a long and distinguished career as a businessman and after earning several advanced degrees, Joe's a graduate of the MBA program, one of our leadership instructors, and the primary recruiter for executive programs. Joe?
Thank you, Kim. Kim described the elements of our unique program structure. If you're looking at other MBA programs, you'll note some distinct differences. However, what may not be so easy to see is the design intent of the program, how these features enable the delivery of significant value. Organizations bigger than a mom and pop shop usually have a hierarchical structure. Those few at the top of the hierarchy make the big decisions and get the big salaries. And since many want to climb the corporate ladder, more people are looking for the next rung. And there are more people than rungs on the ladder. This makes for an environment where those seeking promotions are guarded about the things they know. Think about it. You don't get ahead by revealing your lack of understanding of how the organization operates. You never say, I'm struggling to understand, or I have a knowledge gap, and then say, promote me. People hold this guarded position for years, yet the first step in solving a problem is acknowledging we have a problem. Yet we don't do that. Well, we suffer in silence. I call this the silent sufferer syndrome. And everybody from the top to the bottom of the organization typically suffers from it. However, what you don't know doesn't make you any less expert about what you do know. You may have gaps in your knowledge, but you have expertise with powerful potential. We leverage that potential in our program. And here, the design features of the Auburn's Executive MBA program translate into real value. Here, the one cohort following a lockstep curriculum emerges as something magical. It's where those 8 years plus of experience allows us to build on your expertise and crank it into the program for the benefit of all in the cohort. From the first week of the program, with an organizational behavior course, we help our students break the silent sufferer syndrome. We assemble a cohort with an awareness of individual strengths and weaknesses. Even in the first week, we begin to realize the cohort's ability to fill each other's gaps. In this safe space, revealing what you don't know is the first step. After all, you do go to school to learn. When the individuals in the cohort see the value of this knowledge exchange, they more rapidly reveal their gaps. It's a beautiful thing to see. Trust rises. I don't know is easier to say. And the faculty will not just say, here's a concept and a theory. There'll be a test on Thursday. Instead, they say, here's a concept and a theory, but then pause and ask the student, how does this show up in your organization? How does the understanding of this expand your capability to make a difference? How will you apply it? How will your organization be affected? When 50 people in a cohort connect the dots between concept, theory, and practice, leveraging their wisdom and experience, the tangible value of what you learn goes way up. When this knowledge exchange is in full swing, students help each other, not just to understand the material of the curriculum, but to process the multiple issues that challenge them at work. After 21 months of learning to leverage the collective expertise and wisdom of the cohort, students know who's the expert on what. They also become familiar with their peers' character, which makes for a level of shared trust, a crucial component in every relationship, as we all know. By design, the cohort bonds and students support each other, a benefit that extends far beyond graduation day. In the Auburn Executive MBA program, the working student gets a multidisciplinary education where they know not only the basic business disciplines, but how all these disciplines interconnect. The program gives you a lens to see things that most people can't and positions you to deliver an impressive contribution to strategy and tactics, which gets you up the next rung on the organizational ladder. However, even our program can't position you to easily address every business issue that comes your way. And I would encourage you to run in the opposite direction from any program that makes such a claim. Markets are dynamic, and businesses respond with creative innovation. As an executive, you will always face new challenges. However, with your Auburn Executive MBA training, you are likely to find yourself promoted because of how you applied what you learned. When you get that higher executive position and responsibility and accountability that goes with it, you'll find yourself facing, once again, uncertainty and new knowledge gaps. That's when you pour on the secret sauce. At this stage of your career, you'll no longer be a silent sufferer. By virtue of the deep relationships you create in this program, you'll continue to have the collective strength of your cohort to provide executive perspective when you need it as you move forward through your career. Now, we are pleased to have one of our Auburn Executive MBA graduates, Liza Welch-Amaro, with us to tell you her story. Liza?
Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Kim, for inviting me to participate in this webinar and share my story as a program alum. And to all of you who are watching, I'm so glad that you're interested in earning this degree from Auburn. The 2 years that I spent as an executive MBA student was an incredibly valuable time in my life. And I'd like to share with you some very specific ways the program helped me grow both personally and professionally. But first, let's talk about some very real, very practical outcomes in my career after I graduated with the Executive MBA degree. Once I put this degree on my LinkedIn profile, I saw a significant increase in recruiters contacting me about job opportunities. And that told me a couple of different things. First, the Auburn name gets noticed. And then secondly, companies value talent with an executive MBA. And I'm happy to say that within 3 months of graduation, I had 3 director level job offers at different companies. Of those job offers, I ultimately accepted a role as the Director of Digital and Acquisition Marketing at BB&T, which is now Truist. We've merged with SunTrust. And there I'm focused on the company's retail insurance lines of business. Now the immediate ROI, the dollars and cents, if you will, that I gained after accepting this new position following graduation was pretty amazing. I'm very blessed to have a base salary increase of just over 45% over my prior role at a different company and a bonus package increase of 200%. And that's with no relocation required. Very, very fortunate. But the return and the ROI from this program, it's not just about job advancement and increased income. But yes, that's important. We all want that, and that's why you're here. That's why you're watching this webinar. That's why I went through the program. But I also wanted to earn my MBA at a school and in a program that could help me become a better person and a better leader. It's not just about what you learn in the classes and through the coursework. Here, it's about how you're able to apply it in a very real and a very practical sense, because everything about this program is built and designed for business professionals. For me, I walked into the program with several things that I wanted to sharpen and improve. And one of those was my presentation skills. The program gave me ample opportunities to give presentations and get honest feedback about my public speaking and how I present myself, both from instructors and from my classmates in the cohort. And as you grow your career, I've found this definitely to be a case for me, you'll find yourself in positions and in situations where presentation skills really have the ability to set you apart, especially as you're looking for those advancement opportunities. And I really wanted to push myself out of my comfort zone here. Another area where the program helped me grow was in my leadership skills. In several of the classes, you'll spend time reading and analyzing and then discussing some case studies. And these case studies are based on real life situations, real people, real leaders at real companies in the US. And these are situations that any of us could find ourselves facing in our careers. And you won't just learn from these textbook case studies or from what the instructor's speaking about in a lecture. You'll also learn through others in your cohort about the challenges they're facing. Because as you build trust and open up to each other, and that does happen pretty quickly, that the cohort becomes pretty tightly knit, everyone shares challenges and obstacles that they're facing in their career or at their company, and together as a group, you're able to come together and figure out ways to help each other overcome those challenges. But this last one is probably my favorite. The program really helped me gain new and fresh perspectives about the world around me, because life is made up of experiences, and those experiences shape us into who we are and ultimately who we continue to grow and evolve into becoming. And I was very fortunate to learn from an incredibly talented faculty and staff associated with this program. And in fact, nearly every instructor in the program had a career in business prior to teaching at Auburn. And that experience that they brought to the classroom and the coursework gave even more credibility to the program. And that's not something you'll always get with other executive MBA programs. I was very, very pleased with that here. And also from learning from fellow classmates in the cohort, in this program, I was surrounded by management level leaders and above from all over the country who selected Auburn, from all different types of industries, and learning from their experiences and their challenges was just as valuable to me as the coursework itself. It's an extremely collaborative program. And then lastly, through the global business experience, I'm so glad the program included a course that focused on global aspects of business and took our entire cohort together to study in another part of the world. When I was in the program, we spent nearly 2 weeks in South Africa, and it was amazing. But it's not just about studying global business or traveling to another country, because for many of us, that's nothing new. It's about learning and traveling together with your cohort, going through that experience together in the academic environment, studying a particular country's culture and the political environment and the economy in that particular area of the world. For me, it was an incredibly amazing, rewarding experience. And that's just a little bit about my experience in the program. If you'd like to learn more after this webinar and would like to talk with me one-on-one, I'd be happy to connect with you. My contact information is up there on the screen, so please feel free to reach out. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Liza. Thanks for sharing your time and your story with us, and most importantly, for choosing Auburn for your MBA degree. So one question you all might have is, why now, right? These are challenging times, both personally and professionally. And yet, for some, this actually might be the perfect time. The MBA program will teach you skills that will help you take control in this time of chaos. It'll give you the opportunity to distinguish yourself in your organization as someone who might be a leader through these challenges. And it will certainly build a network of professional support that can help you through it. So, what are the next steps? Well, if you're interested in finding out more information about our program, we encourage you to set up a consultation with Joe. And if you think you've heard all you need and you're ready to apply, we have the application link for you here as well. I want to thank you for your time this evening. I hope we've given you a good sense of the Auburn MBA program, how it operates, the value it could bring to you, and we look forward to your questions.
Okay, thank you, Kim. We had a few questions come in during the presentations, and Kim, it looks like the first one is for you. What is the average age of students in your classes?
The average age is probably between 35 and 40. We do require the 8 years work experience. Again, our average runs a little bit more than that. So, but we see, we see the gamut. Again, we're building a cohort of diverse experiences, diverse backgrounds, and different experience levels, because everybody brings something to that mix. So, but the average probably would be around 35 to 40.
Okay, all right, very good. Okay, let's see, this one coming in from Dave. Kim, I think this again would be a good question for you. Am I required to attend residencies in person, or can I view those online?
Yes, all the residencies are required. If they're being held in person on campus, then you would be required to participate fully. Obviously, we're making decisions on a day-to-day basis with the situation that we're currently facing. If we were to find ourselves in a situation where we're delivering a virtual residency, which we just did about 2 weeks ago for a cohort that's currently in the program, then you would be required to participate virtually during that time period that it was being delivered.
Okay, all right. Liza, here's a question for you. How did you schedule your time between work and study? And I think this is probably getting at, what is a day in the life of an executive MBA like?
Sure, definitely. And that was a concern of mine, but before I made the leap and joined the program a few years ago. It definitely requires some self-discipline in how you organize your time. Me personally, I spent usually between 10 to 15 hours a week focused on my studies, whether it was watching a lecture, like the sample clip that we saw earlier, working on a paper, collaborating with others on a group project. And to do those 10 to 15 hours, usually I'd reserve maybe 2 nights a week after I got home from work to focus on my studies. And then either Saturday or Sunday, the bulk of that day, I would focus on my studies. And keeping that structure allowed me to have some balance in my life, still having a couple of weeknights and then part of the weekend to enjoy time with family and friends.
Very good, very good. Joe, here's one for you. So what are you looking for when you're conducting your interview of applicants for the program? And Joe, I believe you're on mute.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Sure.
The interview allows us to go beyond what we can understand about the applicants and the documents they submit, such as their transcripts and their resume. As you've heard this evening, we put a big emphasis on experience. But beyond that, and we can detect that with most of the documents that you provide, but beyond that, what we can't readily detect is how well do you play with others? And we're trying to get a feel in that interview for your service orientation, the likelihood that you are open to share what the value that you've developed through your experiences. So it's your potential to fit well within the cohort that we're assembling.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Joe. Kim, here's a question for you, and this comes to us from Zachary. How long are the 5 residency periods?
So the residencies are roughly a week. The very first residency is a little longer. It's you come in on a Saturday evening and we do a big opening dinner, get to know everybody. And because we do build in that team building experience, we have a team building day, and then the courses, the actual classes start on Monday. But the typical residency week is about a week.
Good. Kim, I'm going to stick with you on a few of these questions that are coming in. Most of these have to do with the program features. This is from Dee Dee, and Dee Dee was a little bit late joining the presentation, but is asking, can you tell me how long it takes to complete the program?
Sure. It's 21 months. It's a lockstep 5-semester program. So you would start in the fall and you would go year round. So it would go fall, spring, summer, fall, and you would graduate the following spring. So for the cohort that is coming in the fall of 2020, you would graduate in the spring of 2022. And so when we're doing our recruiting, we always use the graduation year. So this is the class of 2022 that we're in the recruiting cycle for.
Very good, very good. Okay, next question comes from Sharonda. I spent over 20 years in the military. Does any of this experience apply to my 8-year requirement?
Absolutely. We absolutely count military experience towards that requirement, and we often have a significant number of military veterans and even current military officers that come through the program.
Okay, very good. We're going to stick with that topic then. We have a question coming in from Miles. Can you please discuss veteran admissions, additional steps, tuition cost? How will I be using my post 9/11 GI Bill?
Okay, and I'm all ready for that one too, because I wrote that one down in case somebody asked. So First of all, active duty military do have an application fee waiver. So if you are a current active duty military participant, then you can apply to have the application fee waived, and that gets taken care of. There's nothing else different about the application process as far as our program is concerned. You would complete all the regular documentation. And once you were accepted and you chose to accept our offer, then we would put you in touch with our Veterans Affairs office, and they would coordinate with you to make sure that all the proper paperwork was processed. We work very closely with the Veterans Benefits Officer, and they know our program and all of our tuition structure. And so we work between the two offices just to make sure that everything's lined up before you ever start in the program. The VA does disallow certain expenses that do not allow their benefits to cover. And so we do break our tuition out into what we call regular tuition, and that is tuition that is 100% covered by VA benefits, and a supplemental tuition portion that is not. And for the cohort, and I had to write this down because it's an odd number, but for the cohort that's coming in that would start this fall, the breakout is $16.10 a credit hour. So it's $13.93 a credit hour is covered, and $217 is not. And so that total is $8,463 over the course of the program that would not be covered directly by your veterans benefits. Keep in mind though, you do get the B&H allowance while you're in the program, and that quite often covers that difference. And also, all of the graduate tuition is eligible for financial aid. There's no needs-based assessment for graduate tuition, and so many of our students, veterans and otherwise, do get loans in order to cover the cost of the program.
Okay. Now, Liza, you spoke quite a bit about the value of the international trip, but Kim, is the international trip a requirement?
It is. It's a key integral part of the program. It's as much a part of the program as a residency or a course that you take. Again, it's embedded in a course that you take. So the international trip is considered to be a requirement of the program.
Okay. And Liza, just to come back to you on that, you did find great value in the international trip. What were some of the unexpected things that really pleased you with the trip?
Just the great mix of being exposed to the culture, the tourism, if you will, but balancing that with visiting entrepreneurs and factories and other schools there in the country, and learning about how they operate and the challenges that they're facing in their environment. Kim mentioned earlier that when they select a country for the international trip, they look at current events and what's going on and what's relevant. And when we traveled to South Africa, in Cape Town at the time, they were going through a huge water crisis. I mean, many of you probably remember that in the news at the time. And that was a huge factor of our trip, having to watch water usage, and it was seriously curtailed. But how is that affecting the economy? How is that affecting different businesses? And we had to meet with individual entrepreneurs who were facing challenges as a result of that. So it was just, all it put together just really exceeded my expectations, what I would learn and walk away from the trip with.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Liza. Joe, I like this next question. Do you typically have small business owners in the cohort?
Absolutely. I can speak from personal experience. I know that even in developing a small business, the dynamics in a small business and the burden on the business owner is such that their bandwidth gets consumed rather quickly. And while they put in long hours, when we talk about having gaps, small business owners definitely have got gaps. And we welcome them to help them understand how to essentially be more efficient with the way they approach their market, their financing, the funding for the initiatives that they want to attack so that they can be more competitive. We definitely celebrate small business owners. While we talk about the value the program has in the larger corporation, the experience of a small business owner is so comprehensive that we very much glean these what we call golden nuggets from the small business owner. So not only do we accept small business owners, but we celebrate the opportunity to have them in the program.
Oh, great, Joe. Great. Kim, let's go back to the international trip. Our friend Dee Dee had a couple of follow-up questions. This is a two-parter. So how long is the international trip usually, and have you selected a location yet?
The trip is typically 10 days. It covers 2 weekends and a full work week. We have at times backed that up a day or extended it by a day, depending how far away we were going. So if we were going to Europe, and we would typically leave on maybe a Friday and get there on a Saturday. If you're going to Asia or Australia, we might leave on a Thursday. And so it just, sometimes it depends a little bit, but the basic format is that we travel. We do travel to 2 countries as a rule. Now, when we went to South Africa, we went to 2 places in South Africa because it took us so long to get there. But we do try to visit 2 different countries, sometimes almost in a compare and contrast environment. But we would go to the first country, we would spend the weekend there, sort of getting cultural tours, acclimated to the time zone. We would do a Monday, Tuesday, and a half day Wednesday in that country, and then we would travel Wednesday afternoon to the second location, and then we would do generally Thursday, Friday in the second location, and then close with a weekend of tours and cultural events and that sort of thing. We do have different models. We've sometimes built in some tours, optional tours at the end of a program. For instance, the program that we intended to take this year with our IMBA 21s was to Panama City, Panama, and Lima, Peru. And we did an optional add-on at the end of that trip to Cusco, so people could visit Machu Picchu. So it does vary a little bit, but that's the general format. And so the question is, have we determined our location for next year? And we are still finalizing some of those details. We always announce it during opening residency week in August.
Okay. Thank you, Kim. Let's stay on that topic with one more question. Is the cost for the trip included in your tuition?
The cost of the trip is included with the exception of the international airfare component. So the students are responsible for their own airfare to the location, but once we're on the ground, all the cost of the program is covered.
Okay, wonderful. Let's see. Do the residency periods on campus allow time for professional responsibilities? So that gets back to that juggling of, your career responsibilities with the education requirements.
Well, I guess I can take that one. I mean, yes, I mean, we absolutely understand that we have executives in the house, and that as much as we've encouraged you to carve out this time and stay 100% present and engaged while you're here on campus, there's certain breaks between, in the morning, in the afternoon, over lunch, after work, that sort of thing. But it is important, and this is very important for people to understand that, when we ask you to take the time away from your work and your family to come to campus, we want to maximize that time while you're here. So they're very intense, but they're purposefully so, so that the time that you're here with your cohort, with the campus, with the staff, with the faculty, is absolutely maximized.
And I'll chime in there a little bit also, Kim, since I went through that not too long ago. You'll also get out of it what you put into it. the more you can focus on that residency experience, the classroom, the lectures, the team building, the teamwork, the more you'll get out of it, both personally and professionally. But yes, there are breaks during the day where you can, check email, take phone calls, and if you need to step out and take care of some things, everybody's completely understanding about that. But just remember, you will get out of it what you decide to put into it.
Great, thank you, Liza. Joe, this next one's for you. And I like this question, it's from Jeff. For someone who is north of your average age and well seasoned in their industry, but looking to continue to grow and learn personally, would you still recommend this program?
Jeff, I love your question. Maybe you and I should start a club. The reality is I came into this program 10 years ago. And when I graduated, I was up there in age. And I'm one of those people that loves continuing education. And I did programs like this well into my 60s. And when a seasoned guy with years and decades of experience comes our way, we definitely welcome that opportunity to understand, to actually soak up the wisdom that's been accumulated through your varied experiences. So if you are thinking about age being a showstopper for you, I encourage you to abandon that thought. Just come our way, because we love experienced people.
Great, thank you, Joe, and thank you, Jeff, for that question. Kim, this next question from Dan gives us the opportunity to look at some of our electives and concentrations. Is there flexibility on elective classes? I see some elective classes offered with the online MBA program, but I didn't see those as being available under the Executive MBA program.
So yes, we do have electives in our program. Historically, we followed a more fixed concentration model, but with the classes starting this fall, we've actually even opened up those concentrations. So the best way to think about it is there are 3 electives that you could take in the program. Then you'll have 2 choices in the second fall, and you'll take 1 in your second spring. Now, from those electives, you can choose courses in leadership, operations, healthcare, and cybersecurity management. So we do have 4 themes of electives, and you would choose 3 of those that we offer in that second year.
Okay, thank you. Here's a very good question, and this comes to us from Jerry. Kim, I'm going to address this one to you. What is the application deadline for the fall class of 2020?
So we have a very flexible deadline, and we do rolling admissions. So we are well into our admissions for this class, and we will continue to admit until we fill the class with the best students that we have. So we don't have a fixed deadline. We've taken phenomenal students the day before the residency, and it was, it was like, you want to be here and we want you, and if you can make it, we can make this happen. So now, having said that, we do have a limit to our cohort size, right? We do not have we've designed our program so that we have that 40 to 50 is really the optimal size for an executive MBA cohort. We've run a few larger than that at times, and it just happens that there's too many voices in the mix. It's too easy to sort of slip through and never have to maybe be as fully engaged. It's harder to get to know everybody. So over the years that we've done this program, we've just found the sweet spot, which for us is that 40 to 50 students. So we're more than halfway there. So obviously, if you're thinking about applying, and you think you'd be a good candidate, the sooner is better. I would hate for us to be full and in a situation where you came late to the program and we just simply weren't able to accept you because we didn't have any space available.
Okay. Liza, this question's for you, and this gets to the flexibility of our online component. Are there any fixed schedules for distance learning classes, or do you have complete flexibility to manage at your own pace?
So with each semester, there are a certain number of classes that the program structured for you to take each semester. But once you leave the residency week and you go home and are focused on the distance learning aspect of the course, yes, you can absolutely learn at your own pace. Just about every instructor will have a syllabus where they encourage you to do this lesson this week, this assignment this week, but that's not necessarily required. The instructors all are very understanding that we're working professionals. We have very demanding personal and professional lives. So they're very easy to work with you on deliverables.
Thank you, Liza.
And so I'll just add to that just a little bit. So again, you know, one of the advantages in the distance space is by having the courses produced and available when the semester starts, while you will have a syllabus and you'll have a deliverable timeline, and we encourage everyone to stay with that, like Liza said, you know, certainly, you know, if you're looking ahead and you say, you know, you have a paper due in 2 weeks and, you know, you're going to be traveling overseas during that time, you know, it's all about communicating with the faculty, negotiating, you know, new due dates. You know, everybody recognizes that you're working professionals and they'll work with you. It's all about communicating. But the other thing is that if you knew that you were working remotely in 2 weeks, and you can actually work ahead because that material is there for you. So it does give you a little bit more flexibility in controlling when you study, you know, whether you can work ahead, but always knowing that we have the flexibility if you need it.
Okay, thank you. Joe, this is a question for you, and this comes to us from Mike. How does the program address government professionals?
Well, when you think about the government, whether you be in state or federal work, that is one of the largest organizations in the world. You know, being able to extract the lessons that are learned in the organizational dynamics of those who work for the government, I mean, that is a major contribution. And but I do have to warn you, if you come our way and you're a government worker, we love you. I mean, we were going to tap into that experience and we're going to help you see things from your perspective. I mean, there's a lot of interesting factors that go on in that organizational life. And so, and when you think about it, when it comes to the leadership things you'll learn, government folks, leaders have human resources that they have to assemble to do some very important work that's often very challenging. And the lessons that you can learn through our leadership course, our quantitative methods for decision making, the accounting piece for managing your budgets, those are all valuable courses that can help you be more successful in your government work.
Thank you, Joe. Kim, this is a question for the future. Will supply chain classes become part of the electives in the future?
Well, actually, we do have a supply chain elective in the curriculum now. So as part of our operations track, we do offer a supply chain course, we offer a project management course, and we offer a quality management course, which leads to a Greenbelt certification. So we do have supply chain as one of our electives currently.
Oh, very good, very good. Kim, are we able to take a break from the program and rejoin at a later date?
Certainly. The thing to understand about the cohort is, and the lockstep is that it's sort of you're all in or you're all out. So the goal is to, you know, start a class in the fall and, you know, march everybody through those 5 semesters and graduate everybody at the end. But, you know, life happens, you know. And so we do have people who need to stop for a variety of reasons, whether it's personal or professional. And what you would do is you would hopefully finish out that semester, and then you could just sit out a year and step back in and join the next cohort as it came through. Once you start the program, You do have 6 years in which to complete it. So you do have lots of time. You know, you don't want to wait too late, but if you get in a situation where you do need to stop, you know, you absolutely can step back in at a later date.
Thank you, Kim. I'm going to stay with you on this next question. What is the percentage of those who apply who are actually admitted?
It's very high, and purposefully so, because we do a lot of vetting and communication with our inquirers and leads and contacts well before the application itself takes place. And we don't encourage anyone to apply if we don't think you can be admitted to the program. So that's one of the reasons that we push so much to have a consultation with Joe. That's why we have admissions advisors that work very closely with, again, all of our leads and applicants, so that you don't get to the point that you've applied to the program and you're not a good fit. You don't have the years of experience, or you have other disqualifying characteristics. So it's pretty high. It's not 100%, but it's pretty high.
Okay. Let's switch gears for just a second and let's go back to financial aid. Any recommendations or resources regarding non-company sponsorship financial aid?
Well, like I said earlier, all graduate tuition is eligible for financial aid. And many students go through our program taking out federal subsidized and unsubsidized loans. We don't currently have many scholarships to offer in the executive space, but there are scholarships in the national arena that our students apply for and get, quite frequently. But other than sort of the federal private loan market, if you're not sponsored by your company, there's not a lot of other opportunities, I don't think.
Okay. Kim, you're getting the majority of these questions, but many of them are program related. I've got a couple more here, and I think that will conclude the Q&A session. This next one is, are there any extra certifications that I can earn while going through the program?
Right. So like I mentioned earlier, if you were to choose the quality course that sits within our operations theme, that course does, at the conclusion, successfully passing the course, you would have earned a green belt in quality. We also, with our newest electives that we're offering in the cybersecurity management space, those electives teach the common body of knowledge for 3 certifications in cyber. At the end of those courses, we don't administer the exams, so you don't technically have the certification at the end of the course, but you've taken all the coursework required to be able to sit for the exam. And that would be for the CISSP, I had to look this one up, CRISC, and the CISA. So we have 3 cyber courses that each lead to a cyber certification.
And Kim, you were mentioning exams, and so this final question is very appropriate. Will I be required to take proctored exams in the course of the program?
No, you will not. Again, all of our coursework is very applied. So our students do cases and write papers and make presentations and do group projects, and they do simulations, but there are no proctored exams in our program.
Thank you. Kim, with that concludes the Q&A portion of our presentation. I'd like to thank all of those who submitted questions. Thank you very much. And also thank you to our panelists who provided so many good answers and shared their insights. Thank you.
Great. Well, again, thank you for sharing your time with us this evening. We appreciate your interest in the Executive MBA program and look forward to guiding you through next steps. Please visit us at this website for additional information, or please feel free to reach out to our team via email, via phone. And again, if you're interested in scheduling a consultation with Dr. Collazo to learn more about the program, we do invite you to scan that QR code that you see on the screen so that you can get connected directly to his calendar. But on behalf of our team here in the Harvard College of Business at Auburn University, we just want to thank you again. And in true Auburn fashion, we will close this session with a big War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War
War
Eagle.
Eagle.